Welcome to Hi Now Daily. I'm Rachel Pocaro, and this is the Women in Business Takeover Show. Mahalo to our friends at Pacific Edge, which is a business and lifestyle magazine that was first published in January of 2006. Ooh, it's been a while. They showcase the accomplishments of Hawaii's diverse business community and emphasize the work-life balance that's such an important part of being a modern professional. Especially right here in Hawaii, they believe that Hawaii is the best place on earth to live and do business. And today we are focusing on their 2025 Women in Business. It's about powerhouse women leaders that are making waves in our community, who are sharing their individual stories, their challenges and successes, and their motivations, goals, and inspiration. And joining me live now to kick off our show is the founder, editor-in-chief, and CEO of Pacific Edge magazine. We got Naomi Hazelton, and really the one who runs the show at home, her son Ryan. Welcome to the show. How are you folks doing today?
We're fantastic. We're great.
Good.
We're excited.
This is nice. I heard you guys back there just chanting, I'm excited, I'm excited. And we are really excited to talk about the amazing women that's going to be on today's show, but also this mother-daughter, or mother-son, I should say, bond. That's why we're talking all women, but it's nice to have a fella in the building now, right? Let's talk story about this relationship that you folks have right now. I knew you have your son, single mom, raising him to the fine gentleman that he is.
Yeah, he's amazing. He really shows me what life truly is. He's the individual that says, Mom, you are working way too hard. Let's go get in the water. So he'll bodyboard, I'll swim. And once you get out of the water, you just feel so revived and more energized. And he keeps me humble. You know, he's a humble little man, and he keeps me humble, and he keeps me on my toes.
Keeps you on your toes. Okay, now let's talk about Pacific Edge magazine. You started that, we mentioned, back in 2006. What has that journey been like for you and your family?
That's a great question. You know, it was amazing being a part of Hawaii Pacific University, and Pacific Edge started as my master's program. Dr. John Hart at the time pulled me outside and said, this is an amazing business proposal. You know, you should run with it. It's business and lifestyle. And here we are 20 years later. How hard can it be? And you know, every day's a gift, and we just keep on climbing. I think the inspiration really behind it is focusing on the leaders and the entrepreneurs who just take something from a complete, you know, just idea and make it come to life. And that's really the beauty also of, you know, always going through life and staying positive and saying, you know, I gotta do hard things. But by doing hard things, you just continue to grow and continue to go on a journey that you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yes. Now, I mean, speaking of journey, you've got your incredible son. We mentioned Ryan. I wanted to ask you what it was like growing up in this household with your mom. She is such a boss woman, doing all the things that she does, but also raising you to be an incredible man in this society. What was that like, having your mom?
Well, yes, of course, she is my mother, and she's one of the most amazingest person I could ever think of. She really loves me, and I think that's the most important thing that comes to my mind. She's very outgoing. She usually doesn't like me staying at home, so we'll go to the beach a lot. We'll go get food or something like that. But when I was younger, we lived in a house in Makakilo, and I couldn't really remember like my dreams or like the so anyways, but I love how far she has come from the beginning to the end, but I love that she can help me through all those ways and taking me to the beach, and she introduced me to the water. So
yes. No, you were talking about all the amazing things that your mom has done for you throughout your life, and if there's one thing that you've learned from your mom, what would that be?
I think one thing that I have learned from my amazing mother is just keeping your head up. Don't let it down. Don't go down. Things don't go your way. Just take a breather.
Take a breather.
Yeah.
That's always a good reminder, because sometimes we move so quickly in this fast-paced society, and you want to do your best, you want to reach for the stars, you want to do all these things, but sometimes it's nice to just sit back, relax, reassess, take a breath, whatever it is. And I think having mom and you together, that's one thing I think you mentioned to me that you help her out on, is that you see mom grinding and doing all these things, and sometimes you're like, hey mom, just stop and smell the roses, yeah? right? So, I mean, having this relationship, this bond, what has it meant to you as a woman, as a mother, being here in Hawaii?
Well, every mom knows that your #1 job is to be there for your child. That is the #1 job. And it's easy to do because you have so much love. But your other job is your baby sometimes, right? And especially if you're an entrepreneur. And so there's a fine balance between the two. But at the end of the day, there was a specific incident that happened. We were doing distance learning when you were at Hawaii school, church school, and we were doing some spelling, and we were doing scissors, S-C-I-S-S-O-R-S, right? S-C-I-S-S-O-R-S on the board in the office. And the Cats in the Cradle song came on. And if anyone knows the Cats in the Cradle song, it talks about the fact that life goes very fast. And the #1 thing that struck me about that song is I sat at that desk and I said, I am not gonna make work the #1 thing. He is the #1 priority. And at the end of the day, you find the balance and you find a way to weave through leadership and being great to your team and being great to the community, but also having the time and the inspiration within yourself to be the best you can to your nieces, your nephews, your aunties, your uncles, your grandma, your grandpa, and your family.
Gosh, I love that so much. As a mother, you're always wondering, am I doing enough for my kids? Am I at every event? Am I there for them enough? You ask yourself that often, but then you also have this balance of, am I doing enough at work? Am I doing what I love to do? And it's all of this just really encompassed into one. But I love the advice that you have. So thank you so much for sharing that and sharing this incredible bond that you have with you, your mom, everything. We're gonna, of course, continue with the Pacific Edge Magazine Takeover show here on Hainaul Daily. But yeah, we'll sit with that in the break and just listen more to our thoughts and being engaged. And of course, this incredible bond. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back with more of Hainaul Daily.